Well, Tennessee Titans fans, it appears that I have sparked a debate over on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. A tweet that I sent out this morning that some people agreed with, some people disagreed with. Let's talk about it. I said, and go follow me over there on X, I said, I see all of the people comparing Cam Ward to Steve McNair. And with all due respect to Steve, and that's a lot of respect, we need Cam to be even better than that. And as you can see, Tyler Rowland, Locked on Titans, Tic Tac Titans, responded and said people don't remember how Steve was actually discussed and the level of player he was. He was not considered elite by anyone, including Titans fans. He was a game manager type. And Tyler went on to say some other things on his personal account about this. Easton Freeze, another buddy of mine in the Titans community, he had another perspective. He said, the man won an MVP and played in a Super Bowl. It is so unfair to set the expectation higher than that. And then there were a lot of other people who chimed in, some people agreeing, some people disagreeing, some people feeling like I was showing some disrespect to Steve. So let me first of all say this. Steve McNair is still to this day my favorite football player of all time. He is my favorite Titan of all time. I have a picture of him hanging on the wall right over there on that wall that I'm sure you'll see it someday. Actually, two pictures of Steve over there. So I am never going to sit here and disrespect the late, great Steve Air McNair. He was a stud, okay? He was a Hall of Famer. I am not. Nothing I say in this video is me trying to discredit or try to make Steve McNair seem like he was a bum. He was not a bum. He was a Hall of Fame talent, okay? What I meant by this tweet when I sent it out this morning, and again, let's just go back up and refresh ourselves. A lot of people comparing Cam Ward to Steve McNair. With all due respect to Steve, we need Cam to be even better than that. What I meant by this is that, yes, every comparison I see for Cam Ward is Steve McNair. Shouldn't we want a better comparison for our potential next franchise quarterback than a guy who played 20 years ago, over 20 years ago, late 90s, early 2000s? Wouldn't we want somebody else other than a guy who played in an era of football that was completely different than the one we're watching now? I mean, let's just be honest. Would we not want somebody from the last 10 years to be a comparison? I would want Patrick Mahomes to be a comparison. I would want Josh Allen to be a comparison. I would want Lamar Jackson to be a comparison. I would want Jalen Hurts to be a comparison. If the best comparison that we can find for Cam Ward is a guy as great as he was that played over 2 decades ago, then we got trouble. And that's not taking anything away from Steve. It's just saying that style of football, the game has changed. The league has changed. Now, if you want to talk about accolades, I understand. Steve, Titans made it to the AFC Championship twice with him. The Titans made it to a Super Bowl with him and were within a yard of at least sending that Super Bowl to overtime. I get it. But for me, when I look at Steve McNair compared to the other quarterbacks of his time, let's look at some of those guys. Peyton Manning. Would you say Peyton Manning was better than Steve McNair? Well, of course you would. Tom Brady, just that era of Tom Brady. Not even the later era of Tom Brady. Just the early 2000s Tom Brady. Was he better than Steve? Yeah, probably. Would most people say Michael Vick was better than Steve? Probably. Would most people say Brett Favre was better than Steve? Probably. Would most people say Donovan McNabb was better than Steve? So we're talking about, and again, I'm not trying to discredit Steve or make him seem like he's not the man or he wasn't the man, but I would rather our next quarterback be more like Peyton, Brady, Favre. I know a lot of people don't like Brett Favre, but Favre, Rodgers, Breeze, Mahomes, Josh Allen. Like, if the best comparison that we can find is a guy who played over 20 years ago, then that's not good. Now, I think among Titans fans, we love Steve. We love Steve. He was taken from us much too soon. And we look at Steve as the best quarterback that the Tennessee Titans have ever had. And the reason why is because he was. I mean, who has been better than Steve since Steve? It wasn't Marcus. It wasn't Will. It wasn't, who else? Zach Mettenberger. It wasn't Jake Locker. I mean, none of those guys were better than Steve. The closest one to him would be Ryan Tannehill. Some of y'all don't want to hear that, but the closest, the second best quarterback that the Titans have had in my lifetime was Ryan Tannehill. That's sad, but it's true. So we look at Steve and we say, okay, he was the best. We need another Steve. Listen, Steve McNair had some great attributes. The toughness, which, by the way, a lot of that toughness where he played hurt all the time, they would not even allow that today. It's what I'm talking about. It was a different era of football. They would not even allow Steve McNair to play the way that he did back then. When he would play with all of those injuries and tough it out, they wouldn't even allow that today. Okay? But Steve was tough. Steve was clutch. Steve could play 3/4 of a game and look like he was nothing special. And then when you needed it, he would bring it home at the end. Okay? But if we draft Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders or whoever, I mean, when we drafted Will Levis, I said this about him. I want him to be the next big thing. I want him to be top 5 in the league. I want him to be the guy that has us in every game. I want him to be the guy who has us in the discussion with the Chiefs, in the discussion with the Bills, in the discussion with the Ravens, in the discussion with the Eagles, in the discussion with whoever else, Detroit right now. I want to be in that conversation all the time. I want to have a guy that has us in the mix every year. Now, Steve had the Titans in the mix for about 3 to 4 years. I want a dude that can do even better than that. It's not even taking anything away from Steve. I just want the best of the best. Steve was absolutely a top 10 quarterback of his age, probably top 7 or 8. But he wouldn't have been ranked above Peyton, Brady, McNabb, Vic, Favre. He wouldn't have been ranked above any of those guys. Just like there's hardly anybody ranked above Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Lamar Jackson, any of those guys now. I want a dude that those guys get compared to. I ain't here for a long time. I'm here for a good time. I'm not looking just to get a dude who can be a good little old quarterback and get us some wins here and there. No, I want a legend. Steve was a legend, but I want the utmost legends. Give me the next big thing. That was all I was trying to say. It is not a knock on Steve. It is not taking anything away from Steve. But if you're going to draft a quarterback first overall in the draft, why would you not want that first overall pick to be the most incredible quarterback that you have ever watched with your own 2 eyes? Why would you not want that? I'm talking better than Steve, better than Peyton, better than Favre, better than Rodgers, better than any of them. Why? If you're going to draft a guy first overall, I want to have what the Commanders got this past year with Jaden Daniels in his rookie year. I want to have what the Chiefs and the Bills have experienced with their guys. Come on now. Don't think this is me taking anything away from Steve. Don't think this is me disrespecting Steve just because I want Cam Ward to be even better than him. Steve was great. I want Cam to be even better than him. I want him to be even better than Mahomes. I want him to be better than everybody. I want him to be better than Joe Montana, Dan Marino, insert name here. I want him to be better than all of them. What say you? Talk to me in the comments. Tighten up.